We have the keys to the Cleveland Browns. We're going to talk a little bit about the offseason, what takes place during the NFL offseason. If you've got your own ideas and you're listening, make sure you shout out what you think the Cleveland Browns or whatever your favorite team is. So I took free agent approaches to my offensive line. The way I looked at it is that if a guy's played in the NFL for 4 or 5 years on the offensive line, chances are he is better than anything I'm going to find in the draft. Not that I won't draft an offensive player, but two in particular, Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Baltimore. That's my number one target this free agency. I'm doing everything I can to get Tyler Linderbaum, locking him down at center. I feel at that point, it's a lot easier for me to have an opportunity to bring back Joe Bitonio because he's got a Pro Bowl center that he's next to. You've got a right tackle on the other side. At that point, you're looking at another guard. You're hoping and possibly a tackle in the draft, or you have DeJuan Jones come back and hopefully manage to stay healthy. I'm not counting on that, but that's the opportunity there. I'm also looking for my guards. Evan Neal, former 7th overall pick, was a tackle drafted by the Giants 4 years ago. They didn't take on his 5th-year option. He was kind of injury prone the first couple of years. Didn't have the best pass blocking numbers, but run blocking, he was top 10 in the league 2 years ago.
Would you kick him inside a guard at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think now he's playing right tackle for the Giants. I think you're signing him as a guard at that point. I'm putting him between Titus and my newfound center, Tyler Linderbaum. If Evan Neal's not an option, Elijah Vera Tucker is another one. Obviously,
I like him. I've loved him a
lot. So those are the two. I'm going after Linderbaum, and I'm going after two guards. Those are really only my free agent signings. I know Cleveland fans are going to hate it. So if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you're probably not going to like what I see. But I'm getting rid of. I'm trading Denzel as well. Unfortunately, I think that it's just at the point in time where you got max value for him, and cornerback's an easier position to fill. You're going through a defensive coordinator change. So I got 3 trades this offseason. Obviously, the one that Barry just made. I think that I can pull Marvin Harrison Jr., especially now that they've released Kyler Murray. I think that I can get them a first-round pick this year, which is my 24th overall. I'm giving him my 27 fourth-rounder next year to Arizona for Marvin Harrison Jr. Arguably, he'd be the number 1 wide receiver in this draft, so I'm not giving up anything that hurts me. I'm giving up my first-round pick, which I might have spent on a wide receiver anyway. I might as well get one of the best in the game as far as talent capabilities go when he came out 2 years ago. Had some injuries last year. I don't know if you're pulling up any of his statistics, but I still think he finished with 10 touchdowns last year, if I'm not mistaken. 800 yards.
I was checking on Denzel Ward's age. For some reason, I thought he was 30. He's obviously not.
No, I think he's 27 or 28.
He's 28.
28. So that was the first trade. I think that solves the Browns wide receiver problem. You put Marvin Harrison Jr. there at your number 1 receiver. You give up a first round this year, a 4th round next year. Arizona's going to be in complete rebuild mode. This will give them an opportunity to back up and start building.
He had 4 touchdowns last year.
What about the year before?
He's had 12 career touchdowns.
Okay, so he had 8 the year before. So he's a third year player, and arguably they talked about him being the most complete wide receiver to come out of the NFL draft in like 10 years when he came out. And he hasn't lived up to it, but that's kind of right in Barry's sweet spot, is finding those players that haven't quite lived up to their potential and trying to get a solid out of them. Unlike Jerry Jeudy, he's got a good head on his shoulders, comes from NFL pedigree with his dad, was one of the best in the game. His years are still in front of him. He's also athletically gifted, but not in the sense of where it's like a freak, where he's more likely to get injured or have issues or things like that. So I think he'll be a strong fit for us.
I think a new setting. I like this trade a lot.
Yeah.
I think you even mentioned this. We were talking about this weeks ago, and you're like, I'd give up a 2nd round pick for Marvin Harrison. And I was like, I looked at you for a second. I was like, I really like that, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's worth it. I think Marvin Harrison is a serious threat that could get traded at some point. And I think he could evolve. I'm sorry. Well, I think he could evolve into a serious threat.
Yeah. And they just came out this week, actually, and said there was rumors about him being traded to Cleveland Browns, that Andrew Berry asked about him at the Combine. So stay tuned on that. Hopefully something comes to fruition. If so, you remember, you heard the talks here first. Will McEwen, 1st rounder. 4th rounder next year. Marvin Harrison Jr. becomes a Cleveland Brown. That's my first trade. My number 2 trade, I'm trading Denzel Ward, and I know who needs a cornerback more than anybody right now, and that's the Detroit Lions. They don't really have an outside cornerback. I think if I give them Denzel Ward and a 6th round pick, I can get their 1st round pick this year. They're in win now mode. It doesn't jeopardize their picks in the 2027 draft. There's not a cornerback as good as Denzel right now. He fills a need for them, and we've got a 17th overall pick in this year's draft, and we'll see where that goes later. But since we're trading number 24 away, we might as well bring something back in return. And my final number 3 pick here, I like athletically gifted wide receivers with great ball skills. Coming out of college, Xavier Leggett was just that. We missed the opportunity to draft him. Whatever.
Leggett. No, not whatever.
we had the missed opportunity to draft him in the 3rd round. I really wanted Cleveland to draft him. This is my chance to bring him back. In fact, in Madden every year, I get him for like a 6th round pick. So I'm bringing him in for a 7th round pick. He's got 1-year deal with $3 million guaranteed on it. It's not like he has a big contract. He's not really doing anything in Carolina. Kind of had a down year last year. And I figured that they're just going to be willing to move off of him. So those are my 3 draft picks or 3 trades that I've got set up for the Cleveland Browns this offseason. When I did my mock draft, I traded Denzel Ward in a 4th or 6th round pick to Detroit to pick up number 17. I then traded number 24 and a 4th round pick next year to Arizona for Marvin Harrison Jr. So in this draft, I'm going to have the 6th overall pick still. I'm going to have the 17th overall pick from Detroit. I'll have 39 and I have 70. We're going to do a 3-round mock. And are you ready for this, Ed? This is going to get you excited, dude. I'm telling you right now. I put some real serious thought into this.
Put this stuff into motion. I'm starting to like this a little bit.
All right, so with the number 6 overall pick, this is hard for me. I'm going with Caleb Downs.
I still hate it.
You know what? I started to hate it this morning too, but I already made the pick. Right? I love Caleb Downs. He's instinctive. Pairing him next to
Grant
Delpit, and then having him behind Myles Garrett and Schlesinger, and just that defense just sounds sick. Gets me excited. The highlights on this dude are freaking insane. Here, let's just watch a little bit about him and tell me that you don't get excited about.
Dude, we don't need to watch some
just
highlights.
Look at this dude, man. I mean,
yeah, I think it looks great on the big screen. Will.
Oh, you can't see it on the big screen. My bad, guys. Actually, they can see it. You just can't see it.
No, I know. I've seen Caleb Downs. I've seen enough of Caleb Downs.
I mean, the dude's just a baller. He's going to be an amazing player for this team. I can't wait to see him play for the Cleveland Browns. Now, here's the downside. I'm a little freaked out of the news coming out of the degenerative knee issue.
The degenerative knee diseases that he has.
Well, it's a degenerative ACL, which essentially means like it's like a thing that older people get. It like builds up on your ACL. It doesn't necessarily mean it's more likely to tear, but it's more like about knee pain, swelling, etc. He did have a partially torn. But we're getting this secondhand. This was an article that came out on yahoo.com from somebody who said an NFC scout said it. It's probably the Dallas Cowboys
scout. I'd like to see some actual like medicals report come out. And like actually when Peter Schrager and Field Yates and the real big dogs in the game.
Yeah, so that was the interesting part. So this came from an NFC scout associated with the that's mentioned it to Yahoo. I don't think anything. I think if it was anything more, it would have been bigger news. It's kind of on the Reddit files and stuff like that right now. We'll see. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I've done my due diligence. If he's healthy, he's my number 6 pick. Would I entertain a trade down? Only if it nets me a 1st round pick next year.
100%.
With my 17th pick, so I ran probably 25 mock draft scenarios, and almost every single one of them had Freeling falling into the late 20s. Now, obviously, he had a great combine this past weekend. He's top news. Everybody's talking about him. I'm hoping that a little bit of injury history and the fact that there's the hype kind of dies down through times is that Freeling falls down to like number 17, where I have that from that Detroit pick.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I still like Proctor there. I think Lomu from Utah is still going to be there. Either way, that pick for me is going to be a tackle spot. Only thing that changes that is if this scenario played its way out this way, and at number 17, somehow the wide receiver from USC, I just drew a complete blank, somehow showed up. Mekhi Lemon. If he somehow dropped to 17, then I would take him over to tackle at that point because I just valued the pick. And if I could pair Lemon next to Marvin Harrison Jr.
I've said this always. I've said this pretty much since Sonny Styles tested. I wish we had a need on defense.
Yeah.
Because at 17, if that all worked out, 100%.
Yeah, that'd be another great pick.
Sonny Styles.
And here's another thing too. Andrew Berry, 1st round picks, best player available. Obviously, needs important,
100%.
But when you're talking a 1st round pick, that whole idea that you would take, let's say your need is wide receiver, and he's the 20th overall target, but somehow a top 5 guy falls down to you at 11, and you take a wide receiver, like we did with Corey Coleman back in the day. We need a wide receiver. We drafted Corey Coleman. There's a dozen other guys we could have drafted that would have been better for us long term. Same thing here. All right, we got to speed through this. 2nd round, I've got pick 39. I don't know if he's going to be here. Zachariah Brand. Actually, it says USC. He played for USC 2 years ago. Dude's lights out. Ran a 4.35 40. Super agile, quick feet, great screen, slot receiver style receiver. He's short, but he's got a great return game too. One of the best punt returners in the country. If he's there at 39, I really, really like him. And then if you see the guy on the right, that is Jennings Dunker, dude. Could you look at that mullet and just tell me how awesome it would be to see him playing at the guard position? He plays tackle for Iowa, but he's most likely going to move to guard. He's a mauler. In fact, his NFL comparison, Wyatt Teller. Yeah.
Pretty fitting, man. Pretty fitting.
So that is my mock draft. I think that puts the Browns, if you can pull that off, I think that along with the trades for Marvin Harrison Jr. puts the best team I think I can build if I was building a team around Shedeur Sanders and giving him every opportunity to succeed with that roster, with that offense that I've put around him, with my free agent targets. If he doesn't, no problem, dude. Shedeur Sanders, you're out of here. I'm mortgaging everything on those top 5 picks next year, trying to get me my quarterback.
Yeah.